Hi, hello everybody. Welcome to the Michelle Got Goals podcast episode number 1. On this podcast, we discuss the journey called entrepreneurship. I know there are plenty of entrepreneurship podcasts out there, but lately I've been missing a podcast where they simply discuss the journey of building a business. Because that's what I'm doing. I'm building a business. So you might wonder, who is she? A little bit about myself. My name is Michelle. I reside outside Detroit, Michigan. I'm a single parent and I'm a licensed customs broker by trade. Should you not know what a licensed customs broker is? We are regulated by U.S. Customs. We help importers and exporters make sure that their transactions are in compliance with U.S. regulations. My business, I help small businesses that do not have a compliance team make sure that they're compliant with U.S. regulations. I provide importer training and audits. So that's what I'm working on. A little bit about my journey so far as an entrepreneur. It started back in 2014 when my son graduated high school. Back then I was like, you know what, Michelle? It's time for your goals because Michelle got goals. And I quit my job. Yes, I did. I had a decent job, but I could never get vacation time when I wanted it. And it's frustrating. I missed my best friend's wedding because of it. So I'm still mad about it. So it's always had been a dream for some reason of mine to become an entrepreneur. I don't know why, because both my parents work jobs. My mom has been at the same job for almost 40 years now, and my father, he was a soldier for 20 years and he worked his civilian job for 20 years. So, yeah, my parents just went to work. We're simple people. We go to work, pay our bills, don't ask for much. And here's Michelle. I want a thriving business. I like to travel. I got all these aspirations. And it's okay. And that's really what I've been working on with this podcast. And I also started an accountability group. It's okay to have these goals. Speak them out. Work on them. So that's what this podcast is for us entrepreneurs that are working towards our goals. I really would like to build a community. And again, so my entrepreneurship journey so far started in 2014, like I said, when my son graduated high school. I got myself a nighttime job at a trucking company. I thought, you know what? If I find myself a job that I can work at night, I can build my business during the day. I mean, makes sense, right? But as with many things, easier said than done. Because first of all, I'm working a night job, so I'm tired during the day. And secondly, it was the worst job. I just hated it. It was the worst job. I hated it. Can't believe I worked there for almost 4 years. But it did what it was supposed to do, right? Because I did start a business. I had a partner in the background and I had a good referral system. Here at Detroit Metro Airport, airlines would refer customers to me if they needed a customs broker. I also had a couple of small machinery companies here in Michigan that imported, so I would help with their imports. I would clear them and deliver them. So it was going. It just wasn't going well enough for me to branch out completely on my own. I was also giving importer training classes in person. So I was doing my thing, but I was tired. And my business itself was not making enough money that I could have quit the job. And the job, I wasn't making enough money to pay my bills. Both together, I absolutely could pay my bills, but by itself, I was struggling. So, like I said, I was tired. I was burning myself out doing that for that many years. So at some point, my friend was like, you know what, Michelle, I understand what you're trying to do, but you're burning yourself out. You need to find yourself a job in your own field again and, just take it from there. So luckily, I was able to find myself a good job. And the plan was to build my business on the side. But again, easier said than done. I work full time. So when I shut off one laptop at 5 o'clock, sometimes it's pretty hard to open the other laptop and work on your own things, especially when the bills are getting paid. All right? I mean, they are. So, like I said, I had my business partner in the background. So things were going, but not as good as they could because I was working full time. It was taking time away from my job, from my business. I had an answering service, so they could answer the phones for me during the day. I mean, everything was being done, but I was, I guess they say, burning the candle on both ends, and I felt like nothing was getting done properly. And as it goes in business sometimes, I also realized what I didn't want to do. I was a service provider. I was entering shipments with customs for release with my partner, but I was really more interested in compliance and training because when I was still with the freight forwarders, I could tell that importers were always asking the same questions, or my staff was asking importers the same questions on their shipments over and over again, and they would get irritated saying, "You always ask this." "Yes, because your documentation is always incomplete." "Why don't you make sure we get complete documentation so we can present it for entry to customs?" But again, they didn't know what was required of them. That's where I come in with my business, making sure importers understand what all they need for a customs entry to go smoothly, right? All this to say, I stopped providing customs entry services to just focus on training and audits because that's really my passion. I know it sounds funny. Who has a passion, of customs compliance? But, I like streamlining processes. Since I started my career in air export with an airline, I worked for different freight forwarders, and I worked for a trucking company. I know the whole supply chain, right? From pickup to delivery. So I'm a pretty good source, to work on your files and pinpoint what's going wrong with your service providers, or just information, how it's coming in, how it's going out, how it's presented to U.S. Customs for your entries. So I pivoted my business, and it just happened to be right before COVID. I shut down my entry services business end of 2019 into 2020. And I had an office that I had to take care of, terminate my lease and everything, move everything to my home base. So, and then COVID hit. So everything went out the door, right? Here I am, just pivoting my business, have to make brand new connections because now I have a different target audience for my services. And everything shut down. So I couldn't network. I had planned to, I'm going to network, meet people, go to the, German American Chamber of Commerce get-togethers, but it just didn't happen. Luckily, I did have a full-time job, and they were pretty awesome. So I was okay during the crazy beginning COVID months, but my business, kind of fell to the wayside. But since I am an avid podcast listener, I did notice that some businesses were doing really, really great during COVID. So I'm like, Michelle, you need to get it together. So 2020 into 2021, I set myself down and said, Michelle, you need to get it together. You've been working towards this goal for so many years. You're losing sight. You need to think about what it is that you really want. And what I really want is for my business to thrive, right? So the first thing I did in 2021 was start an accountability group for entrepreneurs. So every 2 weeks, I have a small group that meets online on Zoom, Google Meet, and we just talk about the past 2 weeks, our goals, what we've been working on, what we should be working on, what's working, what's not working, exchanging, encouraging each other, accountability. And this podcast is also part of my accountability. I mean, I'm not a communications major. I never did anything like this. This is all new to me. Setting up a podcast is new. YouTube is new. I'm barely active on Instagram, but I'm about to be because, like I said, I would love to build a community with you fellow entrepreneurs out here. So I started an accountability group this year now, and I still wasn't getting where I wanted to see myself. I'm more active in my business, but I'm not where I would like to be. So this is part of my accountability to myself, but I'm also seeking the exchange with like-minded people. That's why we also will be interviewing entrepreneurs, business owners that are already established and working in their business, because we all can use some inspiration and motivation, right? So you will also you will have check-ins from myself about how my progress is going, but we will also be talking to other business owners. So since this is Michelle Got Goals, what are Michelle's goals? First of all, my business. I would like to see it thriving. I would like to provide stellar services to my customers. I want my business to work. That's my main goal, and I've been working towards these goals via networking, getting better versed in LinkedIn, using that as a tool. Those are like the two main things I've been doing this year, just to build a new network and connect with people in international logistics and international business that do import, because, it's word of mouth out there. And at some point, somebody will ask, who can help me with my import compliance? And somebody will say, this Michelle chick, that's what she does, I believe. So I'm trying to get my face out there, my name, network with the international business community. That's what I've been working on, and that's what some of my podcast episodes touch on, how I've been networking, how I have such a hard time with networking. And also LinkedIn. I actually bought myself a course from a LinkedIn coach. So my profile looks pretty good, and I'm making new connections. But, again, working full time and working towards these goals, it gets away from me. So I still need to remind myself, Michelle, keep going, keep going, keep going. And so that's my major goal. And then another goal of mine is writing a book. I touched on it. I'm from Alabama. I was raised in German. My dad is American. My mom is German. And most of my life, I don't even know. But I was raised in Germany. So my forming years after my parents got divorced, I spent in Europe. And when I was old enough that my mom couldn't stop me, I went back to the States. And I've been here ever since. And now in Detroit since 1999. And I would like to write a book, because it was a journey, I tell you. I mean, when I came over here, I didn't even know what a social security number is. Can you imagine? So, yes, so those are my two goals: building my business and writing a book. What are your goals? Please do share with me. Like I said, we're building a community here. If you like the content, please leave me a rating, subscribe to my podcast, subscribe to my YouTube. Find me on Instagram. Let's chat. Let me know how your journey is going. And, one good thing about all this is my guests, they are way better at this, They're great. So you will enjoy the interviews for sure. Let me know what you think, about the podcast episodes. Hit me up and let's reach our goals together. Bye.